Now Portland takes game one. What do you have to say for yourself today?
So the Portland Trail Blazers will not sweep the Los Angeles Lakers, and you know how much I love Charles. And I was on this show yesterday, and I did acknowledge that if the Lakers really played like an MVP candidate in LeBron James and an all-NBA performer in Anthony Davis, and they really were focused, they would be able to take care of business in 5. But Greeny, they're not focused. And I hear a lot of people going to talk about KCP going 0 for 9. And yes, Danny Green has to make shots. Caruso has to make better decisions out on the floor. But you know what's going to need to take place if the Lakers going to advance in this series? They need dominant LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Far too many times I was watching the game, LeBron James is being guarded by Gary Trent Jr. He's being guarded by Carmelo Anthony. And dropping those dimes, he was surgical out there getting his teammates involved. But a lot of those possessions, I need LeBron to sweep the basketball through and attack the basket to score. And so now all of a sudden, Gary Trent Jr., Carmelo Anthony are in foul trouble and not in position probably to make those late game shots like they did in yesterday's game. And lastly, the Lakers play right into Portland's hands with their two big lineup. I know they don't want to play AD at 5, but in this series you got to. If you're not going to start Kuzma, you might as well consider it or put him out there. You need more offense. He's not a defender, but in order to keep up with Portland for a 7-game series, they're going to have to score more. So there are going to be a few adjustments that I think the Lakers can make and should make, and I'm not picking the Portland Trail Blazers to win this series, but I do say if the Lakers don't make those adjustments, the Portland Trail Blazers are putting themselves in position to go ahead and knock them off.
So, RJ, we talked about this game at the top of this hour. Let me ask it to you this way. LeBron and the Lakers down 1-0. Giannis and the Bucks down 1-0. Which of those two do you think is in bigger trouble right now?
Which one of those two is going against future Hall of Famers? That's really the question. And 100% it's the Lakers. But to some of the things that Jalen said, he talked about foul trouble. Well, Portland was in a ton of foul trouble. They had multiple players with 5 fouls. It never really changed the game late. But ultimately, what he is saying, and I agree, LeBron has to be more of a scorer, right? So he was dishing the ball. He was doing it. He had 15 assists with guys going 0 for 9. Guys going 2 for 8, and he still had 15 assists. But to your point, he's got to be more aggressive scoring. That is the advantage. You are right. Anthony Davis standing outside, shooting threes. That's not going to get it done because ultimately, if you're going to go tit for tat with the Portland Trailblazers, if it is a tie game with 5 minutes to go, I'm picking the Trailblazers. If it is a tie game with 2 minutes to go, I'm picking the Trailblazers just because they have so many proven shot makers. So many proven shot makers. You can dish it to Carmelo. Gary Trent Jr. has proven it. Damian Lillard has put himself in the position to say he's one of the greatest of all time late game shooters. So you don't want to get to 3 minutes, 2 minutes in a tie game because that's going to benefit the Portland Trailblazers. The Lakers have to dominate, and they have to dominate early to give themselves a buffer.
Yeah, RJ makes a good point. Again, LeBron had 16 assists in a game last night in which, I'm just looking at the numbers, Danny Green shot 4 of 12, KCP shot 0 of 9, Alex Caruso shot 1 of 6. So give me specifics, Jalen. What does LeBron's stat line need to look like in game 2 for them to win?
He and Anthony Davis, Greeny, when you look down at the stat sheet, got to have at least 65 to 70 points combined, period. Because the Portland Trail Blazers scored 100 and still won. I think that's the only time in the bubble that they've done that. They were one of the worst defensive teams in the bubble. You know what allows them to defend the Lakers more? Is when the Lakers play Anthony Davis alongside of JaVale McGee and alongside of Dwight Howard. We're talking about their lack of shooting, right? Well, playing those big guys now allows the Portland Trail Blazers to clog the paint. So therefore, you got to get a guy like Kyle Kuzma in the game. I know he's struggles sometimes defensively, but he can score the ball, and that's what you're going to need to do to open up the floor. You got to put AD at the 5 more.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.